thank you so much for, what you do and what you've brought really to the overall Grateful Dead community over the years. I'm so honored to be able to speak with you today.
Oh, thank you so much for that.
And I have to add in that, for me personally, 20 years ago, I was riding in a night train, in a night car in France, and a friend of mine put a Walkman on my head, and it was the Jerry bootleg from the Oregon State Penitentiary show with John Kahn. And it literally changed my life. It literally changed my perspective on living and what music can do and what groove is. So,
wow, that's quite some time ago there.
Yes, indeed. And so I guess where I'd like to start off is, I'm interested in, for you, what kind of musical space do you like to occupy? Is it a groove thing, a pocket thing, an overall vibe? What gets you going as a musician?
Well, when I'm performing, I'm a groove player. I love to find a pocket, to me it's like putting a puzzle together. And, you can shelve some things, it doesn't fit, but and of course in music you can do some things and you think as in a puzzle, it don't fit, but you can do it anyhow because it's music. But I like to find the fit, and when it's right, at the moment it's right, you'll know. It's just like, there's the pieces all put together, and when it's right, and when you're playing something, but it could be better. So I love to find what's right when I'm playing, whether I've had a rehearsal or I'm improvising and I'm playing with someone live for the first time, and I'm just so I listen and try to listen to who's doing what, and if the guitars or things are busy, I look for a very simple part to get in there and be in there, but not dominate what's going on. So I'm definitely more of a groove player than a solo player. I mean, I can solo, but right off the top, until I need the solo, I'm looking to get into the groove. In my monitor, I have heavy drums and heavy bass over anything else, because that's where the groove is, and that's where I find my pockets right there.
Yeah, wonderful. So these days with the internet, it's pretty easy for people to really dig into folks' background and learn, hypothetically, at least if it's accurate, what, where you kind of came from. And something that strikes me is your background in gospel music. And I know I feel that when I listen to JGB and your current project. Can you share a little bit about what your roots in gospel music kind of has done for you as a musician?
Well, it gave me a style for sure. I mean, there's a lot of gospel players out there, and there's people in the professional business that may have started in church just like I did, and may have developed their style and don't hear much gospel in it because they worked on other things. But I always allow the gospel to just come through my playing. I never wanted to hide it, move it, remove it, or anything like that, because it's just who I am. It's just what I've learned and what I know, and it's inspirational for me when I'm playing, whether it's rock and roll, jazz, classical, all those genres of music, to still hear the gospel influence. And I never wanted to hide it. I never want to remove it. It is what it is. If it's too gospel for any particular type of music, then I'm not the guy. So I've always kind of let it shine, and I've always been complimented about people feeling goosebumps, or they hear, they feel something more than what the next person was able to provide, and it's really the spirit in the gospel. There's something about that. Those chords and the melodies and how you put them together, that's where I live.
You're so right. It's the tinglies. It's that almost, I want to maybe even cry. Like literally, I feel that, I know for me, I feel that in church, and I also feel that in your playing, and it's such a gift,
It's amazing. I have seen people cry. I've watched them and looked at them, and it's a little hard for me to accept and understand, but I've watched people, tears come out their eyes over a solo or over an emotional song. May not be nothing that I did per se, but I was a part of it, of the development of it. I watched that over and over and over, and I guess for me, living with gospel and the flair and the feel of it, it's a part of me. But I guess when one gets a dose of it at one time, that maybe don't get it as much, it overcomes them. And I'm trying to accept that because I'm like, why are they crying? It's like, it's music, But I have to understand I do it all the time, and maybe they don't get it like that. And they got a good dose of it today, and it's like they like it. They just, sometimes this tragedy may have happened in life. Mother, father may have passed, dog died. I don't know. But it's still, they were not crying at first. You know what I mean? And now they're crying. So, mostly the music did something, brought something out, And I think that's what we go for, is to be emotionally tapped, want to be touched, whether it's happy, sad. Music should do something to you.
Yeah, right on. Absolutely. It makes me think of music as medicine, right? Your music and the music of the Grateful Dead in general, the whole family, which is, kind of transcends all these different groups, and this feeling has had a spiritual and literal, at times, medicinal effect for me. What are your thoughts of music as a legitimate medicine for people?
Well, you pretty much said it is. It's like music is the doctors, and the people are the patient that needs to be healed. When you walk into a concert, you buy you a ticket. You're going there, and I look at it as if you're a patient going into the hospital because you're sick. And the medicine, the healedness is in the music that you're about to witness. And again, that's why I love where I live into the music and not try and change or grow or beneath myself, because I see the medicine, I see the operation over the people's lives in the course of a concert. I see what it does, and I'm been fortunate enough to be able to hear some testimonies where people saying how this saved their life, or they had a really bad day, bad week, and that took them through something. I hear that all the time, and I believe it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've had some amazing opportunities to play with legends like Charlie Daniels, Chuck Berry, of course, all the JGB players. And are there any specific musicians or moments that stick out to you as these kind of transcending either moments or musical people that, you can reflect on and maybe share today?
Well, most of the people that you mentioned, the Charlie Daniels and Chuck Berry, I was jamming with them on stage. We were not in the band with them or played with them for a period of time like I did with Melvin and Jerry. They was just like, lead the organ up. We were on before them, and you guys want to sit in, or you want to sit in with me and lead the organ up and do a song or two, that kind of a thing. And it has its moments. The crowd love to see someone they didn't expect playing with someone that's totally a different genre of music. That's fun. But as we all know, my highlight was the Jerry Garcia band. I played with many celebrities before then, again, sitting in and doing Broadway plays with John Hendricks from Landertons, from Ross, and Oscar Brown Jr. I've done a lot of different types of things. And, of course, was with Elvin Bishop in his heyday of the Fool Around Fell in Love. Toured him for 6 years. And, again, that was quite some a hike, too. But what changed my life, again, back to music, healing, and medicine, was when I got with Jerry. I knew nothing about. I was not a Deadhead, and I knew nothing about the Grateful Dead. I knew the name, I know the name, and I knew who they were, but not following their music and not knowing the songs and not knowing their individual names. And then, and then the opportunity presented itself where I got with Jerry and got with him and didn't even know who he was. Besides, I know this guy was in the Grateful Dead. I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
And,
how'd that happen?
Well, it came from, I was doing some work with Maria Modara, once again, one of the artists that, from Midnight at the Oasis. Mm-hmm. And her boyfriend at the time was John Kahn. So, doing some work with Maria in the gospel genre, because she was doing some things, I think, with the Mighty Clouds of Joy. She was doing some gospel things and work on a gospel album or something of gospel, and I got pulled in to do some of that, and then wind up doing some shows with her. And every now and then the bass player that played with her band, when he was not available or couldn't make a gig for whatever reason, I don't know those things, John Kahn would be there, play. Mm-hmm. And John Kahn was, Jerry's best friend and played with him from day one, and Jerry and John's band, and he was just paying attention to me and, scoping me out. And I remember even one day, him and Maria came to the church I was playing for back then. When I was more in town on Sundays, I used to play in the regular churches. And they came and sat and watched me in the church. And, and one day, John, just after many performance with him, asked me would I be interested in, doing some gigs with another band. I don't even know if he told me who it was. He just asked me as a musician. And as a musician from another music, oh, man, sure, I love to do it. You don't know who you're talking about. But, yeah, you always welcome new ideas and new contacts. And one day I got a phone call from him and said, hey, we're going to have some rehearsals, and could you be so-and-so at such a time? And sure, man. So I was. He told me where it was and gave me an address, and I think, trying to be impressive, I was there on time. I was there before time because I always like to be on time. Yeah. And of course, the address was Front Street, where the Grateful Dead rehearsed. That was their warehouse and where they rehearsed. And so I get there, and before, John and Jerry and all the rest of them get there, I still don't know much. And I had a little kind of, you may have heard the story, but a little kind of a freaky and frightening moment because of my not knowing much about the Grateful Dead and this scene and all that stuff. When I got there, the person, I think the warehouse guy that runs the place and let me in, and I walk in, and again, being a church boy out of the church, and I walk into this warehouse, and here's all these symbols, these logos and posters of skeleton. Yeah. Almost everything they were doing. A skeleton with a violin in his hand, a skeleton with a rose in his hair, a skeleton this, a skeleton that. It's like, and not to connect that to anything really bad, but immediately I started thinking of Jim Jones saga.
Sure.
Really, how he took them all over that other country and all what happened. That is like, what in the world? I'm looking at the skeletons, I'm looking at all this stuff. Nobody's around to explain that to me, and I don't know much of anything, anyhow, so I'm there, then they all come in, they all kind of came together, John Kahn, Jerry, all just kind of met around the same time, and so I'm inside, they all coming together. And you know how when I think it was 5 or 6 people, they were all new to me, I didn't know any of them. And you know how when you meet 5, 6, 7 people, and you get their names, hey, I'm so-and-so, hey, I'm so-and-so, hey, I'm so-and-so, it's short-term memory. You really don't have it. Hey, John, how you doing? Hey, Jerry, hey, Lisa. You acknowledge it, but you don't have it. You get 5 minutes later, I couldn't tell you who was who. So they all came in at the same time, and, I heard their names, and they all knew me because I'm one person. I'm Melvin, of course. And so then we go in and we rehearse, and, the guy on the guitar, I think we did a Motown song, How Sweet It Is, and something that everybody kind of knew, that, and I think there was another Motown song we did, a couple of things that everybody kind of knew, and then we took a break. Got to took a break. And then everybody disappeared in these little rooms, and I go back in the little lobby area. I don't know where they went. And then they all come out, and we greet again. It's like, and so the guy on the guitar, who was Jerry, I didn't know who Jerry was, said, "Hey, that's what I'm looking for. I love it. You sound great." And I say to the guy on the guitar, "You sound great too." And they just everybody's laughing in the room because I have no clue of who I'm talking to. Really don't have a clue, and don't remember his name because he came with about 7 people and said his name. I don't even remember his name. and he said, "Yeah, this is good. This is what I wanted." And we went back in and rehearsed some more, and that was my entry in the Jerry Garcia band. The very first day of meeting him and how it went.
Oh man, that's awesome! Thank you so much for sharing that. That's so beautiful. So fast forwarding a little bit to now, I noticed that you recently played with Phil and Friends, and I know you played a couple times with Phil when he would sit in for John with JGB.
Right.
But how was that experience to be in that sort of space and with Phil and Friends for those New York gigs?
Well, and ironically, I don't know when this is going to be aired to talk about, but I'm scheduled to play with Phil and Friends this coming Sunday.
Oh, cool.
Once again, at his Terrapin Crossroads. But neither here nor there, that was difficult for me. And I'll tell you why, and tell you what happened. Phil doesn't. I was really trying to get a song list way in advance, so I could study and do my best, and which I would have done. And I guess Phil just doesn't give you that to the day or the day of or one day before. Mm-hmm. I was on the road on my way to be Dark Star special guest. Their Dark Star Jubilee, to be exact, and their festival. I was a special guest, and so I was driving, getting very close to within 20 minutes of reaching their location. And here over my internet, my iPhone, comes the set list. Here's Phil's set list. So I kind of glanced at it, while I'm driving. I wasn't going to study it, just wanted to see the songs. And I almost had an accident. Awful standing back there. I had to pull over. What? Because I didn't know. I may have known 3 songs of the set list for the first 2 nights. May have knew the name and knew it well, and the rest, because I sit in with a lot of Grateful Dead bands, because it's a whole lot more Grateful Dead cover bands than it is Jerry Garcia bands. Yeah. And because I'm of the genre of music, they think I know the repertoire, and I really don't know. The only Grateful Dead songs I knew are the ones that Jerry shared, the same ones that the Grateful Dead did, Deal and Tango Up in Blue and Sugaree. There were certain ones I knew because we did it in Jerry Garcia. Now, over the course of the year, I've learned some other of the Grateful Dead, the simple ones, but they have some songs that got some timing and chord changes there that I just never have had a chance to learn. And feel, and some I never even heard. So here comes the very first song on this set list when I'm driving, Alligator. I remember quite well. What is an alligator? I've never heard that title or the song in my life. And of course, Alligator, Terrapin Station, I knew of it. I've heard it, but that's a complicated song. And a whole bunch of songs like that I've never heard or heard of them, never played those particular ones because they involve songs. Well, his set list was full of that. Very challenging for me, And then, so they said, well, they'll give you a charge. They'll give you a charge. Well, most of Phil's charts that they gave me that day, I'm sure there's more floating around, was like the chords underneath the lyrics when it changes. So you got to know the lyrics, or you have to follow the lyrics to see to see he hit G here, and this word you hit F-7 or something like that. So reading the lyrics that you don't know on stage, low lights, because lights on stage up there is, it's stage light, it's very low.
Yeah.
In a moment in time with Phil in a packed house and folks looking, they know what I can do when I'm comfortable. I just felt like I was the weakest link. I just felt, oh my God, I really thought Phil was probably going to throw some JGB songs. I really thought he would do that, knowing that's who I was coming, and that's kind of, but no, he did, and I learned Phil likes to throw those curves, I guess. I don't know. But it was very challenging for me, very challenging that first two nights. Because I wanted to do a good job. I knew I could do a good job, but I was not the elements was not the best for me.
Sure.
So I played very careful,
mm-hmm.
Trying to read, and my ears were just as wide as they can be of listening to what's going on when someone makes a change or the music drops or just every element that can possibly be on stage. I had to be on P's and Q's for that.
Yeah.
How it came out, I don't know. That's for the audience to say.
Sure, right. Well, and we love to debate that stuff, right? You're in a genre and in a musical family where studying it is one of the fun pieces for those of us that are kind of Grateful Dead geeks, if you will.
Yeah.
And so speaking of that, I have to admit that, as I've seen, between Further and The Dead and Rat Dog and Phil and Friends and the recent, gathering in Chicago where, they had Trey up and things, as a big Melvin fan, at times I'm kind of like, well, wouldn't you have Melvin there? And so I just have to say that it's exciting, at least for me, to see them, see that start to happen. Is that something that just isn't on your radar and you're kind of going with the flow, or are those projects that you'd like to be involved in, or where does that sit for you?
Well, there's a number of things in the past that I think may have contributed in that element of not happening.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm certainly not capable, very more capable. And then the Jeff Jermaine, he's a very good keyboard player, and he's been with Bob Blair, I guess, forever. I didn't realize that. I didn't know that. And, of course, Bob just kind of walked his guys right on in there. And I totally understand that. But I've heard that over and over and over. Why don't they have Melvin? Why don't they have Melvin? Why don't they have Melvin? And I never got an answer to it. I never asked the question. I would never ask that question.
Of course.
I never let that hold me back or anything like that. But it's just but I do, the only thing I can possibly say, and I hope it doesn't come back to bite me, I don't think they had a lot of love for the Jerry Garcia band, the Grateful Dead, back in those days. And as rumor would have it, I was one of the guys when I made my arrival with Jerry that it started to grow to where it went. And, the combination, I guess, Jerry always wanted got right, and or whatever, however you want to say it. And we were doing some pretty large venues. Like we were doing some of the same venues they were doing.
Yeah.
And so I don't think there was a lot of love for that band, and I was in that band. So, I just think that, I don't know. I could be totally wrong, but if anything at all, I think some of it lied there. So just walk around this because it was a sore thumb in so many different ways.
Yeah, well, and that makes sense too. You talk about Bob bringing in his guys from Rat Dog. I mean, that makes sense. People do that, right? I mean, it's you have your musical compadres, and you got what you do, and it feels good, and you know it, and it just kind of falls into what your go-to players are, et cetera. But it's exciting for me to see, because like we talked about before, you I think, stand out in your vibe and energy compared to a lot of, the 10, 15 keyboard players that you can attach to these projects. And so, it's exciting.
Right. Well, that's another way of saying it too. I do stand out wherever whatever I'm a part of it. And sometimes I think you want to hear the keyboard, but you don't want too much standing out. And I don't see that. I don't see that in anything else that's going on there. So I've never seen it. So, there's a lot of those issues. I just thought, well, I might be too much for the situation.
Sure.
Which is fine. I'm totally fine with whatever scenarios are. And so when I did play with Phil and when it was announced, I heard the ticket it sold out immediately. Not because of me, but I heard that just people wanted to see me do that. I do something with him. And when it was announced, bam, I had friends that flew from all over the place to want to be there to see that.
Yeah. Well, from my own humble singular perspective, I can confirm that it's a big deal for us in the community and a beautiful thing to see. And so, speaking of, so changing gears a little bit again and getting to you coming back to the Midwest, if I'm not mistaken, it's been a little while since maybe Prairie Grass the Prairie Grass Festival since you were up this way. And of course you played in the Midwest. Is there a different energy? Is it similar, than playing out east or out west? What can you share from that perspective?
Well, the fans are giving and loving everywhere we play. I personally don't know if I know a difference from the East Coast to West and South. Fans that are true fans that love the music, they share the same love everywhere. I can't tell you, well, they're like this or these fans are like that. I have not seen any signs of that. Neither have I looked for it. But they seem to love the songs everywhere, the same types of ways.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. That makes total sense. And so of course, we know that after '95 and Jerry's passing, you kept the torch going with JGB, and now it's Melvin Seals with JGB, and for somebody that maybe isn't super familiar, I personally don't know how that could be, but if it's possible, and they're thinking, wow, I think I want to come out to La Crosse and see this show. Can you describe a little bit about what the vibe is now and kind of what you're trying to do with that project?
Well, all I've ever tried to do was bring it back as close as it was with the original Jerry Garcia band, with what I know and what I've learned and where we left off when Jerry passed. All I've ever tried to do with the band, and of course, starting in back 21 years ago, I never thought I was cut out to be a band guy. I never saw this coming. I was just a musician in a band that had a great time. And if you got a few minutes, I want to go back and share how it happened.
Yeah.
When Jerry passed, I think about 6 months after that, I get a call from John Kahn. And John had been talking with an agency and decided to try put a band together and do some gigs. And if it looked like it was going to be successful, we were going to go out as John Kahn Band. And so we got a couple gigs in Santa Cruz. I think the place was called Palookaville, if I'm not mistaken. And he got all the surviving members that was with the Jerry Garcia band with some additional people that wasn't in the band. And we did this when they announced it was only one show, and they announced it sold out so fast that they added 2 shows. And so, we go down there and we do some very few songs that we did with the Jerry Garcia band. But all the other songs were songs that you could easily see Jerry doing. Everything was like, well, Jerry would have done something if it had been introduced to him, or we could see him doing that type of song. Was that all flavor? But about very few of the songs that Jerry actually did. And so at the end of the night, when we walked outside, there were the same kind of fans out there and that greet you and want to see you walk out. And they were saying to me, which I was not the leader of the band, it was not my band, man, you guys going to do any Jerry tunes tomorrow night? They were naming songs they wanted to hear those songs, even though it was a sad it was a sadness about that Jerry had just died, and it was still within a year, and you know, and there are those that everybody was still hurting and probably still hurting, but they still wanted to hear the music, even with Jerry not being up. They still wanted to hear these songs. They wanted to cry. They wanted to hurt, but they wanted to hear those songs. And they were screaming out like they've always done with the Jerry Garcia band, play so-and-so, or you can play so-and-so and so-and-so, and John Conn didn't do much of those. And the same thing happened the second night we performed. So, you know, now I was paying attention. I saw, well, God, these folks still want to relive these songs on stage, even though they're hurting. There's a vast amount of people that want to hear those songs. And we were going to go out as John Conn Band because it's so loud, and there was a big demand. Folks wanted to see the surviving members, I guess. And then before that happened, before the tour, there was dates being booked. John died. I don't know if you recall. He after those shows, probably 2 months, 3 months before we got it together, he passed. And so when he passed, somewhere within a few months after that, I got in contact with the agency that was getting ready to book the John Conn Band. And I said, well, I can do this. You know, we can still go out and do these songs, you know. And I wanted to name the band Tribute, you know, like a tribute to Jerry Garcia band, Tribute to Jerry. My first thought was to name the band Tribute. And then the promoter of the agency said, oh, just call it JGB. Call it JGB. I said, can we do that? And I think when we ran a title search on JGB, because you know, Bill Graham and the JGB was Jerry Garcia band, the actual title search was a blind organization, a BRIM organization out of New York. So in San Francisco and in California, to have it to copyright it as a musical organization was open for that because JGB was not copyrighted. And so, you know, just to protect myself, because at that time a whole lot of things were going on with fighting and stuff. You know what I'm saying? To protect myself, I did register this, you know, musical or thing as JGB. And we go out, and I got a lot of resistance. A lot of folks did not like the fact that we were calling the JGB. Just for a good 2 years solid, just a lot of stuff that just people that loved me and booked the Jerry Garcia band didn't want to book us because we was calling it JGB. They just felt like something was wrong with it. And that's when I decided to say, oh, put Melvin Seals in front. Not that I was trying to boast or anything. It's just, it's okay. So they know that it's different from JGB, the Jerry Garcia band. Let's make it Melvin Seals and JGB. A different little bit of identity. This is what we're doing now. And thought that would be enough to soothe the minds of those that didn't just like JGB. And, of course, with JGB, a lot of clubs and a lot of venues, they just put Jerry Garcia band.
Yeah.
When clearly the contract said, in no way are you advertised as Jerry Garcia. Well, they just would put it up there because they figured putting Jerry Garcia band up there would draw in the people, and people resist that. They didn't like that, you know. So to make a long story short, from John Conn, seeing that these folks still wanted to see and hear this music, we did put it together and go out. And I had the original people, Jackie and Glory and Don Baldwin, that was still alive, and some new people to make it happen. And there was trial and error. There were folks that were hurting still, you know, Jerry. And even then, we saw tears in people's eyes crying because they're hearing the music and Jerry's not up there, you know. And we just went from that into where I'm at now. A lot of musicians were not the right combination, trial and error of learning, you know, having skillful studio guys that can play anything very well. But the vibe wasn't right. The spirit wasn't right. Their heart wasn't in the music. It was just a job. I went through a lot of that, not understanding why this guy is the best guy out there. But, you know, he didn't, the look and the feel of the vibe. It was this community that, you know, if you can't live in that community, maybe that should be doing that kind of thing. And that's what I had to learn. There's the right kind of people out there that fits well, and there's those that can play it well, but they're not the right kind of people.
Yeah, well, yeah. And so, on that note, isn't life beautiful, the full circle kind of aspect of, it means so much. I know I can only speak for myself that JGB is in the name now, and that we can celebrate and heal and continue to love and be reminded of this amazing band that he was also in. And that, and you're part of it. It's just, thank you so much for your dedication to that and just what you do to help people through your music. And, we're just so excited to have you back up in the Midwest and to celebrate, you and the band and what it's all about and get in that vibe again. So you being able to offer that to us is just so special. And I just wanted to make sure that, we ended this interview with, on that note. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us again. And that's what you should be looking forward to, a good experience of what it was like being with the Jerry Garcia band.
Oh, amen, Melvin. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate everything.
We'll see you soon. You bet.
All right. Bye-bye now.